142, which to all intents and purposes reintroduces the Zim dollar and outlaws the multi-currency regime. This comes at a time when there's complete government shutdown. Government is not operating, there's no fuel in the country, civil servants are itching for more pay, we have no electricity, prices are rising every day, so there's a complete shutdown of government. So this move is actually a panic move. Government has been cornered, they are clueless, they don't know what to do with the economic crisis. So I'm here to first of all unpack the statutory instrument SI 142 and then speak about the policy implications. Press the SI 42, it can be unpacked as follows. The first thing is that government has abolished the multi-currency system with effect from yesterday. The second thing is that all transactions will be done in Zim dollars. And by the Zim dollars, they are putting the bond note as a proxy and the RTGS as a proxy for the Zim dollar as of now, whilst they are printing the real Zim dollars, which will have particular features. The other feature is that apart from airlines, which are still paid in foreign currency, all transactions are now going to be paid in domestic currency. So it's really a serious issue where we are talking about the coming in back of the Zim dollar. Now, you remember we warned when the bond note was introduced that it was bad currency chasing good money. When the RTGS were introduced, we also warned that that was bad money chasing good money. It was not gonna solve the problem. Now, our problem is that you cannot introduce a local currency before you address key fundamentals. I think the government has panicked in some way. They were not ready for this. Because you remember even in the policy statement by Mtuli, he was talking of March next year. But suddenly, they found themselves declaring this policy stance. In order to have a domestic currency, there are about 5 or 6 key fundamentals that have to happen. The first thing is that your capacity to produce must increase. You must have production, you must have productivity, you must reindustrialize so that you can produce. The second requirement is that you must have enough foreign reserves at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, at least 6 months import cover. The third thing is that you must have confidence. There must be market confidence. The fourth thing is that you must have a trade surplus so that you are not a net importer, but a net exporter. The sixth thing is that you need to give notice to your people so that they understand the features of the new currency, not just to ambush people like as they did. You know, there must be public awareness and people are addressed and they know these features of the new currency. But all that didn't happen. They short-circuited the system. Now the implication is that, number one, the SI 142 cannot be enforced. Because it is the market which enforces the policy. If the market rejects the policy is blunted, it will not be effective. So we foresee as MDC government a situation where the market will continue to trade in foreign currency and disregard the policy that was announced. So Mutuli's policy announcement is going to be blunted as the market will reject the use of a Zim dollar which is valueless. Remember, the currency is a derivative. Excuse me. The currency is a derivative. It derives its value from production. It derives its value from the economy. So, if all those fundamentals are not addressed, then forget about the new currency. So the market will continue to use the US dollar in so far as our analysis is concerned. Secondly, we might see retailers withdrawing products from the market and cause artificial shortages and price hikes. The third thing is that the parallel market rate will also widen as people will go out in the parallel market to chase the greenback. So we don't see any change that this will help on the economy. Of course, we know that the government wants to introduce the Zim dollar so that they can pay civil servants. They can pay the restive army and the restive securocrats. Apart from that, we don't see any useful value in this currency. They are going to print the currency. They are going to open the printing press at Masasa, at Fidelity, and just print worthless notes, which will feed into hyperinflation. So all in all, this is a dumb squib. The country is not going anywhere with this with this new development. What is our solution? Our solution is that let us restore the multi-currency system, but adopt the rand to anger that multiple currency basket. The advantage of the rand is that already 60% of our trading is done with South Africa. So in terms of money supply, the economy can be awash with rands. And we can price all products in rands. Unlike the US dollar, whose supply is inelastic, or is elastic rather, the rand is easily available. So we can reduce the rand while waiting for the right time to join the rand monetary area. That way we can be able to stabilize the economy and deal with our current issues whilst we address the fundamental prerequisites for the introduction of a domestic currency. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mashakada, for unpacking the MDC's policy position regarding the madness that was unveiled yesterday. I'm not sure whether the Deputy Secretary for Policy have anything to Mashakada has said.
No, just one statement only, to say that and learn from history. We have seen this over and over again, where people's investments, the resources are eroded day and night. And they have been told that the RTGS will not work, the bond will not work. Still, the government continues to come with these measures that they come up with after waking up in the morning on a bad day, and they introduce such a fundamental position from Norway without listening to the advice that the citizens of this country are giving them. For me, it's heartless. This government is uncaring, and they are inconsiderate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mshai. Spokesperson.
Okay, just one key position. I think for us as Zimbabwe, we are trying to address the economy from a symptomatic approach. We are addressing the symptoms. That's why we're not going anywhere. We need to appreciate that the bigger picture is not the economy, it is the politics. So unless and until we address the issue around political stability, around legitimacy, we will not move forward. So as the MDC, we think that the bigger problem is not the economy, but it's the politics. We need a clear way forward in terms of national engagement. We are not just calling for the current setup that is there, where the president is meeting some of the defeated candidates. That is minimal. We want a broad-based approach in terms of national engagement. The MDC is more than willing to be part of that national dialogue process, but our first and most important condition is that the president, Mnangagwa, is part of the problem. So he cannot be the facilitator. So we need an independent facilitator. It can be a person that we compromise or all agree. It can be a committee that we compromise and all agree. It can be an international person. It can be a local person. But the bottom line is that we need a facilitated process in which ZANU-PF, MDC, other political parties, the broader stakeholders in the country, the business community, the captains of industry, the civil society, everyone else who has a stake in this country's future is invited to the table. So we need a broad-based approach as Zimbabwe. It is not only the political parties, but everyone should be invited into a national dialogue process. We want a permanent solution, and it starts and ends with a political settlement. A clear way forward is needed beyond this disputed election process that we have. Right now, we are very clear that ZANU-PF is not capable of solving the economic problems until this is resolved. We are also very clear that the current process, the Pollard process, is not adequate. It will not help Zimbabwe. We are also clear that the Minister of Finance does not have the capacity to resolve the problem. So we need a clear way forward in terms of a political solution. Thank you.
Thank you, spokesperson. I think the message is very clear. Dealing with the currency issue is just tinkering with the symptoms.
The first route is to incorporate the rand into the multiple currency basket system and use it the way we've been using the US dollar without any formal applications to effect that. So that can happen. This is why if you go to the southern parts of the country, they are pricing their goods in rand, and so they sell their wares in rands and so on. So that's allowed. But if you adopt it at a national level, you can then elevate the usage of the rand as your currency. But if you want to join the rand monetary area, the RMA, the first requirement is that you must have to deposit some reserves with the South African Reserve Bank to anchor the supply of the rand to your country. And they also insist that at some stage you must have a stable currency of your own that will be pegged at an exchange rate with the rand. So that's the formal route. But without even going that far, we can still adopt it as part of the multiple currency basket, as we've been doing. But the problem is that we've been concentrating on the dollar at the expense of the rand. But if you take it as a policy position to elevate the usage of the rand, I think that can solve most of our problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mashagada. Another question?
Many countries in the world have got their own currencies. But the problem with Zimbabwe is that of confidence. We have no confidence in the government policy, and we have no confidence in the policy direction and the politics of the country. So if there's no confidence, if you introduce your own domestic currency, it will be debauched. It will be weakened before it starts operating. So to avoid the currency debauchery, you need to have confidence, embrace business, embrace labor, embrace everybody, so that we've got one national vision and we speak the same language. But when we have got economic saboteurs in the government itself, who are not making things better, there's no way we can take off as a country, because we've got corrupt cabal which is really sabotaging this economy. So there's no confidence. You know, once the policy was announced yesterday, people rushed to the banks to withdraw their forex. I could see my friends going, so no, I'm canceling that meeting, I'm going to the bank to take my money. So there's no confidence. Right? So it's a confidence building measure to galvanize everybody so that this country can move forward as it should be. And as the spokesperson has already said, we've got one variable which they cannot control, and it is the MDC. We should be part of the solution. They've caused the problem, we have the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mashagada.
Route or any other route, but doesn't help. It is about fundamentals which have to be right. All these things are just superlatives. We're addressing the superstructure. The best is the fundamentals and the politics of the country, which has to be made right. Yeah.
Okay, can I add something? Okay, I wanted to add something. I think Zimbabwe has a history of negotiated political solution. In 1979, at Longest House, we transitioned this country through the constitutional arrangement that happened in London. In 1986-87, we transitioned the country through the Unit Accord. In 2009, we transitioned again the country through the Global Political Agreement. In all these three presidencies, the politics decided the economy, not the other way around. So you have a situation where once the politics is determined in a clear direction, the economy benefits directly. So we are at that stage again as Zimbabwe. We're at the crossroads where we need to sit down together and forget about monetary and fiscal policies and just focus on the vision of the country. Where are we going to? So this is the opportunity that we have. Unless and until we come back to that reality, addressing the national vision, who are we, where are we going to, and move together as a country. Right now where we are, it's just some few individuals managing the direction of the country, and it will not work. It will not work. So we need everyone aboard A normal country should operate at a visionary level. And if we ask each Zimbabwean right now, where is your country going to? No one knows. There is no vision. There are no targets. There is no ambition. So the fundamentals are not in place. So we actually need to sit down. The best and most important way forward is for us as Zimbabweans to sit down and work together. This thing of waiting for the Minister of Finance is not going to help us. So with regards to the publicity element, as you might be aware, the government used the Gazette. It's not the most widely read official communication media that we have, but we also know that even the state media itself is not accessing the people on the ground. So that goes back to the national debate again, to say who is listening to who? The people on the ground, because we want to know how to educate the people of Zimbabwe. How many people are watching ZBC? How many people are reading the Herald? So even if there is an effort to explain a statutory instrument using those media platforms, are they going to reach to the people? Zimbabwe is one of the countries that has got social media, and WhatsApp is big in this country. Facebook is big, Twitter is big. Those are the platforms that Zimbabweans are. DSTV is big in this country. Satellite television is big. That's where the people are. But as you might be aware, yesterday there was not even an attempt to educate the people of Zimbabwe beyond the Herald and the ZBC. So most people are learning the way forward from social media. And that is very unfortunate. So we need to go beyond the state-controlled media. But at the end of the day, as long as they are not, the current government, as long as they are not acknowledging that they don't have the capacity, they will continue to move from pillar to post. But the country is moving from bad to worse. Every Zimbabwean knows that where we were 2 years ago, where we were in January, and where we are today is deeper into economic malaise. There is no way anyone can be convinced otherwise. So we really need to sit down together. That's the position of the MDC. We are not going to recognize this statutory instrument as a solution. It is worsening the problem.
Thank you, spokesperson. Your message is very simple.
I said that the market determines the direction that this economy will take. So I foresee a situation where those contracts will subsist, will continue to subsist, because those are private arrangements. Yeah. You find people are still charging rentals in US dollars. People will continue to sell properties in US dollars. People will continue to engage in contractual deals using US dollars. So that's where the confidence kicks in. People are not confident of the policy pronouncements. They will undermine it, it will not work. So I can see all private contracts subsisting in the US dollar. I don't know about government contracts, since it is the government which has pronounced the policies. But already in one breath they have said, we will allow you to pay airlines in foreign currency and duty in foreign currency. So they are by so doing, they are blowing hot and cold. If you have said this is no longer legal tender, why should you give a window for some transactions to still continue being transacted in US dollars? And if you look at that Gazette, it was say two US dollars or 6 RTGS. The same instrument that seeks to ban the use of the US dollar is actually priced in the US dollar. So it shows that they are not serious, and they are not convinced. They are under pressure. They are cornered. You know, Masianda kungoti let it be. You know, and the minister announces that, and he goes to China instead of staying at home to deal with all these lacunas that we are discussing here. Thank you. I think you will take the issue of the talks and so on.
Yeah. Okay, I just need to emphasize that not the only key stakeholder in the national political process. We are a strategic stakeholder. We are able to give our very valid input, but we are not having the monopoly. So going forward, as you are aware, in the last few months, we've been going through our own Congress transition process. We have managed to set up a new leadership for the next 5 years. So it allows us going forward to engage other key stakeholders. As I've already said, we need a multifaceted national engagement. ZANU-PF is part of that. The other political parties are part of it. But we will not leave the future of the country in the hands of political parties. That is a mistake. So labor, civil society, church, faith, everyone, captains of industry, every key strategic stakeholder is welcome. Youth, women. The responsibility belongs to all of us. As the MDC will engage the different stakeholders, will push them, and will make sure that at the end of the day, we move forward. The precedence that we have in Zimbabwe is that, for example, the constitutional movement, once the chorus started and we started to network, eventually there was a constitutional process officially. It's the same with the other settlements that we had. The moment all the different stakeholders start to raise their voices, we know that the church leaders, they hosted a breakfast meeting last year, I think. That was one of the steps in the right direction. So we need everyone to come aboard. At the end of the day, we need to make sure as Zimbabweans that we do not leave the future of the country in the hands of politicians. It's not enough. But the MDC, as it has clearly said, our position is not confused. I want to state it clearly. We are for a national engagement process involving all the key strategic stakeholders. We are against the current process where Mnangagwa has called a few losers for this Pollard process. We do not recognize it. We are very clear. We are also saying there's got to be a mediation, a facilitation. So because as the MDC, we cannot allow Mnangagwa, who is the problem or part of the problem, to pretend that he has the solution. It's clear that he needs to be part of a bigger process. So we need a mediated or facilitated process. At Lancaster House, it happened. In 1986-87, it happened. The GPA, the Global Political Agreement in 2009, it happened. I think it was President Mbeki who facilitated on behalf of SADC. So we are clear that in the Unity Accord, it was President Kenan Banana. In the 1979 agreement, it was the British government. So, Lord Carrington and others. So, in 2019, we need to agree as Zimbabweans. The way forward is to say, what is the process going to be like? So there's going to be a process of agreeing about the actual process. And as the MDC, our position is that Mnangagwa cannot be the ref, the captain, the coach, the man of the match, and the soccer star of the year. It doesn't work like that. He has to choose his position. He's a player in this game. So we need someone much more independent, much more impartial. It can be the churches taking the lead, it can be anyone, but we need to agree as Zimbabweans. A negotiated political transition is important. Do we have clarity in terms of what we have at the end of the process? Yes, we do. We are saying the current political setup as it stands does not have the capacity to resolve the economic situation. So we need to sit down and say, what kind of political transition are we going to set up as a country? We cannot sort of preempt the country, but we know that once we start talking to each other, we'll find each other as we have done before. At the end of the day, we'll develop a political mechanism that we'll use to resolve the national agenda, the national economic crisis. So as a way forward, we are very clear as the MDC that it's not enough. What is happening right now, the Pollard thing is just not enough. We need more, and we need a process where ED is recognized as a player. Right now, he's in charge of everything. So we are not going to go anywhere with this kind of approach. So we're very clear as the MDC. We want Zimbabwe to prosper. Zimbabwe is one of the most natural resource countries in the world. Zimbabwe has got a human resource capital that is one of the best in Africa. There is no reason why Zimbabweans should be poor. God has already blessed us as a country. We just need to find each other politically. Once we address the national question, we are good to go as a country. We should be a first world country by now. So we are very clear on that one. This poverty that we have is an own goal in football. God has already blessed Zimbabwe. What we need to do is to get organized as Zimbabweans. We don't need to be poor. We don't need even to be to be the situation where we are today. It's related to our inability to work together as a country. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone still with a burning question? I think the response has been very clear. Dialogue is the way forward, but beyond the narrow presence of political parties, we need
the SI. The FCA nostrils will continue. So we'll be allowed to operate our various nostril accounts. The emphasis on foreign payments is just to tell you that even when you withdraw your own money from your nostro, you still need to find local money to transact. Not to say you cannot withdraw the money, it's your nostro account. So far, nostro accounts have not been affected in the policy move.
So at the risk of, yeah, but, okay, yeah. Maybe you came in late, you can talk to me afterwards. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, members of the 40 states, for coming up to our press conference. Meet you next time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank
you.
My name is